Welcome to the show, everybody. Michael with CoronavirusDiaries, and today I'm able to reconnect with Kasper, an artist from Melbourne, Australia. Kasper, how you doing?
Good, man. It's been probably a lot more chill over here than it has been over there at the moment. So it's been pretty nice in Australia. It's been strange seeing everything from a distance, though.
Yeah, we're more than happy to jump into all that. Curious, did you guys end up getting any sort of protests or anything happening in Sydney, Melbourne, any other cities in Australia?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure all the states did a little bit of at least a little bit of a protest. Like it was huge. I don't know about all the states. I know about Queensland and here in Melbourne because that's where I'm from and where I am now. But here it was just a sort of a nice peaceful gathering of people, signs, megaphones or whatever you call them, and yeah, it was just big gatherings. It was just a peaceful protest. Nothing really escalated. It seemed like, to be honest, it was really strange because I thought I'd see more on the news just because I didn't expect people to be breaking into stuff or things getting escalated too much. But I thought I might hear something a little bit more, just anything, But Melbourne had the protest. I didn't really hear too much. Just saw a few friends, Instagram stories and stuff, of a really cool gathering of people and everything.
Sure.
And then same thing on Queensland. That's just about it. Just saw friends' stories. It seemed like a nice, it was just a nice protest. Yeah.
What was the fundamentals of the protest happening there? Was there, I mean, what was the basis of it that was driving the protest?
The type of people, who.
I guess in terms of was it Black Lives Matter? Was it excessive force and equality, or because due to equality in law enforcement? Was there what was the reasoning behind the protests in Australia?
I think it was definitely very, very heavily driven by the Black Lives Matter sort of direction and everything. I'm assuming people would have been out there protesting police as well, but there's no confrontation. There's no back and forth. I mean, I think a big thing is guns. Guns aren't a thing here. I've never held a gun in my hand. I've never seen a gun in person. And just I don't know, when you're out in public in a big gathering like that, I'm sure the idea of the possibility of the person beside you having a gun in their pocket's pretty fucking crazy. So for us, I think things may escalate and everything, but I don't know, it's really strange with gun law too and everything. I mean, I don't know crap about it. All I know is what I've lived in my lifetime, and it seems as if the amount of control, the amount of freedom that we have here in Australia, it's pretty beautiful and peaceful and stuff.
So I'm curious, you had seen some of the live streams, because I was trying to share a little bit with friends and family what was happening real time. I had somebody say, "Hey, go live with it," and I just did it. First time I've ever done that. Did you happen to watch any of them when there was people shooting guns and I was talking saying, "Yo, they're shooting right over here"? Did you see any of those?
Yeah, that was wild. It was it doesn't even feel like it's real. It doesn't.
Right.
I'm sure. I mean, everyone's been saying that over and over again, especially with COVID and everything. But I think it's a little different because I mean, I see guns and crazy shit in movies all the time.
Yeah.
But to see that, it just doesn't feel like that's a part of the world. It doesn't feel like that's really going on right now because I guess I've never, like I said, I've never even seen a gun in person, let alone someone sort of pointing it up in the air and unloading a clip or something, with the fires, with everything.
Outside of a burning police station in the middle of a city.
Yeah, man. Yeah, it was surreal. I mean, you fuck with people enough and they're gonna get angry, and
yeah.
I don't know, it makes sense to me, but yeah, it definitely didn't feel like anything like it was real. Yeah. It's
Sure.
crazy.
So I'm curious with the, like you had seen some of the stuff that I was sharing while it was happening. Does it seem very different from what your own media locally has, you've been kind of seeing what has been being shared international news wise? Is there big differences, or does it kind of all make sense?
It's sort of weird. I think the most of the news, or like most of the perspectives and I don't know, most, I guess, news, I wouldn't call it news, but I don't really watch TV. Like, I don't have a television. I don't, like, every time I turn on the radio, it just bums me out. Like, even if it's not a big, you know, a huge thing, like the riots and stuff, even if it's just like, today 3 people died on the road, and then there's this, and then
It
there's
reads,
that.
bro.
It's just, I can't deal with that. I lived, I guess, when I was younger, like mom and dad, the news was always on, you know, and mom and dad were always like bummed out about it. And I was like, if you just turn that off and you just like smile and you're in their home and we're like a family and everything's all sweet, we can make stuff. It's just like, I don't know. I think news just brings me down heaps. So I think what's really strange is everything I hear about what's going on is usually through podcasts. Because while I'm painting or while I'm in my studio, I have them on 24/7, and majority of the ones that I listen to are American. So that's what I'm hearing is people's perspectives that are on the ground, and then other than that, like, just, I don't know, if you scroll through Facebook and something's randomly there, I'll see that, like your videos and everything, and on Instagram or whatever people are sharing.
Sure.
But yeah, I don't dive too much into like the local media. It just bums me out, man. Yeah.
I'm curious, so we don't have to go too far on this. I'm actually gonna touch base on a project that you've started of your own, podcast style type of stuff. I'm gonna interested to hear more about that. But with, oh no, I'm blanking. I just completely, let's just go after the podcast. You've got a podcast that you're working on, right? Like a video type of art.
Yeah.
Call it a podcast?
I was. It's a weird thing that's happened. What's good is I learned how to put all this stuff together and learn what it's going to look like and how I want to address it going forwards. But I started to do the podcast thing because COVID was sort of kick in and I had all this spare time. But then next thing I know, I get all these emails about commissioned surfboards and skateboards and murals and all this stuff, like the busiest I've ever been. And on top of that, like, I was supposed to find artists, find a space that works to set up a camera that's quiet, like their studio, my studio. Like I work in this big 25 artist space that's like, you know, it's quiet right now, but that's because it's like the morning in over here. Yeah. But it's always packed up. It's busy, so we need to find a space where I need to set up multiple camera angles, capture the footage, edit the footage, put in, you know, the video at the front, cut-ins. So I just didn't have the time over the past few months. But I cut 2 together, one solo and one with my friend James Wilson, and it was cool just to sort of experiment with it. I'm not too sure what I'm going to do going forwards with the podcast, but for the moment, I'm just concentrating on my work. I think the concept of it was really fun. If I guess I'll just say what it is. It's like I sit down with another artist. It's sort of like face-to-face type of thing, and there's a live screen view of what they're making, a live screen view of what I'm making, and we just create a piece of artwork by the end of the podcast. So you can see them talk and the piece sort of develop. It's cool because in Melbourne, and I think worldwide, street artists don't necessarily have like much of a voice, or you don't hear a street artist talk for 45 minutes to an hour typically. Like usually it's what they share online, what you see on the streets, or, you know, this really anonymous thing. And these days with street art and even graffiti, like it's really become much less of an anonymous type of thing. So I just thought, like, why don't we talk? Like, people know your face. Like, you may not be like the forefront, the identity of your artwork, but like every now and then you post a side of your face online and this and that. So it's just good to like sit down, shoot the shit, and like give people the opportunity to see the people all these like great artists like make stuff right in front of them as well. I think it's interesting. But in saying that, it's a lot of work for someone who's trying to be like an active artist myself.
Yeah.
So I love sitting down and talking and expressing myself, because it's something like that form I don't really do, you know, like it's just painting. So I want to start something, but I think it's probably good if I start something that's like, you know, not 20 hours a week or something, you know, crazy in the long run.
A lot of work, yeah.
Yeah, man. Yeah. And just, it was actually really strange. So I put together this huge application for a grant for the Melbourne City Council. They were doing like quick response grants. It was like a $4,000 payout and they were, you know, throwing it out all over the place around the arts to sort of keep us alive. And I applied with my podcast. Got the logo, I got the first video sent through, I got video edits, everything. I wrote it all up. But like, as the application was being in process for like that month, each week that went by, I was sort of thinking like, fuck man, what happens if you get this grant? Like, I don't think you're ready, you know?
Enough hours in a week.
Yeah. So I actually got the email saying I got denied for the grant, and it was such a relief. I was like, oh, thank God for that. Like, now I don't have to, you know, put that on my back, because even like time restraints, like not just with commissions, but I'm going out into the outback to paint with this dude named John Murray for about like a month and a week or something.
Is that the Silo project?
Yeah.
Yeah,
so
bro.
During that time, like, you know, I'm not gonna be able to shoot. I'm gonna be out in the outback, scorching hard, painting every day. Like, it'd be good if I could just chuck a microphone on, chat, talk to people, or figure some type of concept out like that. Because I feel like it'd just be nice to record it, nice audio, chuck it up, and if people listen to it, they do. If they don't, it doesn't really matter. It's not like I spent, you know, all those hours and all that time and organizing into it.
Sure.
But I don't know. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, I think with the kind of format and the layout project that you had done with the multi-camera angles and the talking, that really suited for a permanent space where you get everything set up and then people can kind of just show up. You hit record instead of setting up and tearing down all the time, because that adds a lot. I remember what I was gonna try to ask you earlier, and it's taken a few steps back, but in regards to turning off the outside world, right? And I think as creatives, we both kind of know that it's really necessary sometimes to shut off the outside world. But in terms of the big stuff that's happening now, some people are saying it's the largest civil rights movement in recorded history. The idea of like, even with just the general news, or like turning it off and just being like, you know what, out of sight, out of mind, I'm okay here. Do you feel like there's any sort of like neglect to community or to like bigger things, or do you think it's like you're missing out at all in the like to be involved in these bigger scale things, or do you feel like it's perfectly acceptable? Which, and I don't necessarily think that there's a right or wrong answer to this, but to just focus on, you know, like what you're doing in your immediate, you know, like around you, if you don't feel like there's significant issues happening, to just do you.
Yeah. I think everyone has a voice, and it's like pretty important to share that voice. But I guess for me, it's sort of hard. I'm not sure if it sounds like a cop out, but I feel like with me, I treat everyone as nice as I can, and I try to put as much positivity and everything out into the world. And I don't know, I think with the way that, like, I guess I can talk through my art, because my voice isn't what I really share or what I really put out there. And if it is to do with my voice, it's like my day-to-day life. I love everyone, you know, I love everyone. I just, and I'm out there, I'm interacting, I'm having these positive interactions with everyone. I mean, I think if everyone had my perspective, we'd probably live in a bit more of a peaceful world. But I guess when I saw everyone at least what they're doing on like online platforms as artists to like help the movement and to push it and everything. I just thought to myself, like, there's a lot of like darkness going on at the moment with COVID as well, and just like, people feeling a little bit too, I don't know, everyone's just on edge and everything. And it's great that the movement is happening, but a lot of people would have like pretty negative mindsets. So I just saw at least me sharing my work and fun videos and painting and everything. I just thought it might even be just like a nice outlet for people to just get away from
Definitely
it a little bit. Like they can, you can concentrate on it, you can talk about it, you can share it, and you can have this really positive outcome. But maybe it might be good for 20 minutes to sit down and watch some silly video of some guy painting. It might just be nice. I don't know.
yeah,
And
great.
for me, online and I guess the way I can help my community usually, when it comes to like day-to-day experiences, like, I mean, I'm a very open-minded person, and I think all my interactions are pretty positive. Yeah, really positive. I think I benefit the community with my art, like share it around, and it's all around the streets and everything. But I guess we have mostly like a voice online. That's how you can reach the world. But for me, I've never been political. I've never really wanted to show an agenda, a voice, a direction. And even if that is such an amazing movement, like the Black Lives Matter movement, yeah, I don't want to pick a lane. I don't want people to look at my work and be like, oh, that person has these beliefs and this and this and this. I just want people to see my art, and that's it. To just be like, this is what I think that is. This is what I feel that is, because my art is really weird and subjective and colorful and crazy. And I feel like I create my art because it simply because it makes me happy. I don't have a big grand scheme. Like this the reason why I make and create is because mostly of just like mental issues. Yeah, my head being all crazy and messed up, and
it's your download.
This is what calms me down. This is what makes me happy, and this is what gives me such a direction in life. So I guess the importance of my art is to have every individual person have their own perspective, and whether they love it or whether they hate it is their own insight. But there's those few select people that see it and they go, oh, that's a totem that makes me feel this way and that way. And I'm like, that's what I want. Like, that's what's important to me, is that it can make people feel the way they want to feel. I don't want to press my, like, this is this because of this and that and this and that. I want it to be super subjective. So I get that the way I share my art is probably the way I share my perspectives too. Like, I would sit down and talk to people and have conversations within my studio, but I'm not going to be the guy that posts on Facebook whatever's happening in the moment. Whether that's good or bad, I mean, I don't know, but I think it's good enough. Yeah.
Hey man, I think that's a great answer, and I think you're right. If everybody thought like you, the world would probably be a little bit of a happier place. Speaking of community and speaking of art, you've got a new super cool project that I've been following along. The sculpture painting piece. Can you share a little bit about what this thing is all about?
Yeah, that was a really fun project. It's basically, there's 100 artists in Melbourne that have been put onto this project. It's for the Royal Children's Hospital, and we all have these huge, not huge, like these big sculptures that sort of look like a big bubbly wombat, like big fat legs, fat belly.
Yeah, like 4 feet tall, right?
Yeah. And through that project, we're all painting, and they all get installed into an art trail, like walk, so you can walk through them, and especially like the kids can see all the colors and the paintings and the different art. And then after that, they get sold off to individual sponsors that sponsor the project. So each sponsor will be like, I want this one out of the 100, or maybe 3 or 2, and put it in their foyer or put it in wherever they like,
Very cool.
And that money gets donated to the Royal Children's Hospital. So it's a really cool project, and everybody wins. Like, artists have this crazy thing to paint, the art trail. People get, you know, you can go there and see like 100 of these crazy wild things all through like the park, and then at the end it raises money for the hospital. So that was like a big project. I've been hyped for it for quite a while, but it was pretty terrifying going in there and putting the first few markings on it, because the original concept that you had to provide was just, so you sent in a design beforehand, and it was just one side and the other side. Sure. And it's flat. So it's just like this little, almost like a tooth looking shape.
Sure.
And then when you see it, like, it has a big rounded back. So your design has to go over it, has to go under in the belly.
And if you could share some photos, I'll plug those in over the top so they can see this, but
yeah, well, for sure. So yeah, the shape was crazy, but yeah, really such a fun project. And I guess literally my favorite thing about the whole thing is how close it was to my house. Usually with like public projects, or where you have to take all these paint brushes and everything, it's like the worst thing when you don't bring that one brush, you don't have enough water. So I was just like walking downstairs, and it was literally like over the road, because I sort of live close to the city, and just walked over the road in, and I'd paint for like 4 hours, come back home, have a coffee, have something to eat, go back. And every now and then I just pop in there like late at night, and it's just big, cold, eerie, like warehouse. It's like, yeah, huge ceilings, really cold, big space, and all these sculptures just like scattered around you. Yeah, it's just awesome, man. Yeah, it's such a cool project, and the outcome of it's really great. Like, they really hit so many different levels with it. Having it be public for everyone, and then the money going to the artist and then going to the hospital, and it's just awesome. Yeah, such a fun project.
And that was organized by the Children's Hospital there in Melbourne?
Yeah, it was organized by this like events company thing as well. Like, there was a few different people under it, but the events company was called like Blue Events something. And then, yeah, Royal Children's Hospital, Royal Children's Foundation. I think those were like the main three. Yeah.
Do you have a link by chance that people could see kind of the body of work, or is there something that they've shared with you that you can hand out so people can see?
Yeah, if you wanted to see basically everything that's going on, there's a hashtag that all the artists are using. So you can find that on like any platform, and that'll link you to like everything. Every artist is sharing the foundation, the hospital, and everything along with the post. But it's hard to say because it's a weird word, because the sculptures are called, I don't even know how to say it properly, but it's like UO. It's like UOOUOO. Okay. So the hashtag that all the artists are using is me and UO. Me and UO. So it's MEAND UOOUOO.
Got it.
Yeah.
And that'll be in the about section below for any of the viewers, listeners to check it out.
Yeah. It's a really weird word they picked, because like even like like other artists will cruise by and they'll be like, "Oh, hey man, I really like that uwo you've been making." And uwo, it's just, I don't even know how to say it. I try not to. I just say the crazy sculpture project that's going on, and everyone's like, yeah, I know what that is."
Right on.
Yeah.
So is that's done now? Are you finished? Have you finalized your piece?
Yeah, it's all done. It's all finished. I was super happy with the end piece. The whole direction that I wanted to go in was, a lot of artists had like very particular statements, but mine was, I just want kids to look at it and for them to like light up, and almost like if a kid can walk past mine, look at it and be like, I want to like ride on the back of that thing or something, my job's done, because it's for the Royal Children's Hospital, you know, like I want the kids to just be hyped, colorful. It's got big bubbly eyes, all crazy looking. So yeah, that was my whole like concept and stuff. I took inspiration from Where the Wild Things Are. Yeah. But yeah, like, but when you see the piece, you wouldn't even pick it. But just the way things wave are a little bit different in it. So I tried to do like Where the Wild Things Are, but in like a super crazy, vibrant style, rather than, you know, brown and natural looking.
Sure.
Yeah.
So you were talking earlier a little bit about how you had to submit a two-dimensional, like a flat design. And then when you got there, I'm kind of assuming the difficulty was that suddenly it's three-dimensional. There's a lot more space to fill. Do you mind walking me through like what it seemed like you were kind of leading towards some element or challenge from going from 2D to 3D process?
Yeah, because like if I submit like a mural concept and I don't know how big the wall is, it's exactly to scale. And I can just go in and I can try to get that perspective as correct as possible. But like you only had two sides to do, so the left and the right basically. So for example, the front isn't there. So when I'm on that 2D sketch and I'm doing right near the jaw of like the sculpture, when I'm looking at the front of it, that piece, I don't know whether it goes to the right underneath or just here, and how to fill it out. So you really had to go off like the general sketch that you had in concept, but like freeform it a little bit.
Sure.
But it was really strange for artists because also when you see it on that big shape, it looks super different. And the big thing, the big restraint that we had is we weren't supposed to vary away from the concept at all, because the images that we sent for designs, they are the images that get sent to the sponsors. And then some of the sponsors have already like purchased the sculpture before it's even been painted, you know?
Wow.
And yeah, when you go in and it has all these different elements, they can be like, oh, well, you know, that's not what we paid for, you know? So as artists, we've sort of had to like, really try to home it in to be as close as possible. But there was a lot of variation and everything over the project. I mean, like everyone really had to. It was such a weird shape. You'll probably see if you attach images, you'd be like, how the hell would you paint that thing? And that's exactly what everyone was saying.
Yeah, I remember seeing when you were first talking about getting to paint this thing, and it was just this blank canvas, but it's kind of like a marshmallow bear or something that's just kind of like on all four, super rounded out. And then just watching you start to put the lines on it. I love your colors, man. The way that you pick, like
Thanks, man.
You've got a very unique style. That's pretty cool. But and before I let you go, I know we're pushing time here. You just also created some pins. What was that like? Like what led you to that? You know, they're like pins that can go on like clothes or hats. They're pretty popular for like music festivals or events, and they fit in the palm of your hand basically. Where did that come from for you?
Well, I guess they're small, they're easy for people to like get. I like for my work to be accessible for anyone. Like I don't want everyone to spend $500 on something, you know? Like these pins are like $15 and I can ship them all over the world. They're super easy. And I think one of the biggest things that inspired me was I did a collaboration with a company in Queensland, like one of my friends' clothing companies, where I did this love heart pin looking thing. And it was like one of my favorite things. Like I still have one of each color. And I've always wanted to make my own. Like I'm a little late to the party because enamel pins were like hot as for quite a while, but like lately it's not really that way. But I just decided, why not? I like to make a lot of different things and everything. I have a few here. I can show you what they look like in person. Let's see. Yeah, so like there's these gold and then like black plated. So like the black plated ones sort of look like this. It's got the little ping on it. A little blurry, but you can sort of see. But the gold plated ones, it's weird. These are harder to move because they don't typically look like my color scale. But to be honest, these are like my favorite because I was like that kid who collected all like the shiny Pokemon cards and stuff.
Sure.
And it looks like a rare or like a special edition or whatever, but just like because of the shine to it and everything.
Yeah, no, I'm gonna have to get that one too. I like it more than the other one too. Yeah, that's solid. Like that. Dude.
Yeah, and they are solid too. They're like super, not like plastic. They feel like a big hunk of metal, and it's just super strong and
enamel.
Soft. I think they're called soft enamel. even though they're hard. I don't really get it, but I was actually lucky. I've been waiting to release these things for ages. Like I printed these probably maybe like 3 months ago or something, but I originally released them. I originally had like this mural festival thing that I was doing, and I had like a stall that I could set up. So I put all like, my expensive works and originals and skateboards around, but I wanted to give something out there that people can just like, they have $15. They can just go, here you go, man. Easy, hand it off. And it's nice. It's not just collectors and stuff. So, all kids and families and people are like loving them. And after that, I was like, I'll release them straight after online. But then COVID hit straight away. And I mean, last thing you want to do is, nobody has money. Nobody had money. Everyone was struggling. So I was like, yeah, they're not going to do well. So I waited a few months, and finally now I thought was an okay time. It was a little close to like the Black Lives Matter movement and statement and everything. But I sort of waited a little bit from there, and I thought getting this in the mail might make people smile or something. I don't know, just like a nice little thing.
Sure.
Yeah.
How big of a run did you have to do of each color? Did they have like a minimum?
Yeah, 50 of each. I have 100 in total.
Right on.
Yeah,
right on,
it's a
man.
decent amount. It was pretty terrifying when I was ordering. I was like, how am I going to move 100 of these? But yeah,
I'm
they've
sure
been
they'll be
moving
gone.
easy.
They'll be gone before long, if they're not already.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Yeah, there's a few left.
Outstanding. Well, for any viewers and listeners that are listening to this in a timely manner, the information will be down below. Kasper, did you have anything that you wanted to touch base on before we jump off?
No, I mean, if anyone wants to follow my work or anything, it's all at Kasper's Art, but I'm sure you'll share that along and everything. I'm always doing something new. I'm working on a skateboard right now, like this thing just here. I'll touch on really quick. I had someone want a commission, but it was a commission that wasn't carved. So instead of carving it, I've just sort of painted the edges.
Sure.
And it sort of cuts that in. But what was good about this one is this is for a mate, John Murray. It's like a really cool Australian artist guy. And I thought it would be more special if I gave him like my board. So this is my old skateboard that I've been skating for like the past 6 months.
Nice.
He lives in the outback, and he loves coming to Melbourne and hitting all the laneways and everything. So I can be like, this is the skateboard that's been taking me around the streets like since I got here,
Yeah.
So and it's painted, it's yours and everything. So it's a nice special piece, but nothing in particular. I'm doing a little bit of everything now that things are starting to loosen up a little bit. I'll be in the streets really, really heavily. I really want to smash every laneway in Melbourne, get my stuff up again. Yeah.
Well, I'm looking forward to see the stuff that comes out here in the coming months. I know, the COVID lockdowns and everything has got you itching to get back out there. It's cool to see you work on the new projects. The Silo project is coming up. Is there a time frame for when you're going to go out in the outback and then you come back? How long are you out for?
Yeah, I fly in. I catch a train up at August 10th, and then I'm there for a month. So or a month or so from there. Yeah, we have three big projects that we're doing, and then, to be honest, my main concentration is going to be hitting as many abandoned cars as I can, because apparently John was telling me they're just like rusted out in the middle of the desert, outback Australia, like nothing in the distance, yellow, orangey ground, and just like a big rusted car.
Yo.
So John was like, not only is it a good project for you, but for the community, for them to see something different, this crazy artworks all over the place. It'll really make people sort of stand back and think maybe a little bit differently, which would be awesome. Like he painted a few cars, but he was very strategic in where he painted it. And it was so he could get to particular places, because there's no road out there. It's just flat. So the whole town in Lightning Ridge used those cars as like benchmarks to get places. They'd be like, at the yellow emu, you turn left, you follow it straight. So it's been cool. Like art's become a thing for directions there. Yeah, it's cool.
That's amazing. That's really, really cool. Thanks for sharing that. Well, hopefully you're going to bring a camera with you and get some shots of these. I'm seeing a visual here with just nothing, and then this piece of art, which is a car that you create in your own vision. Those pictures in and of themselves are going to be art. So hopefully you take that as serious as you take the painting on the cars, and then the silo as well. And it's you're up to some really cool stuff, man. And it's a pleasure to know you, and it's fun to follow along with you. So thank you for spending your time sharing what you've shared. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks, dude.
And for all the viewers and listeners, again, all the information is in the About section below. Feel free to reach out, and I'm sure you'd love to hear from you. So until next time, stick around. We got more coming at you.